Hey everybody, Henry here, and today we're taking a look at my run in the Flying Cup that was a couple days back. The Flying Cup is something that I did participate in after I did hit rank 10 in Normal Great League, and honestly I did have quite a bit of fun with it. The team I was running was Aerodactyl lead, Mantine safe swap, and Steelwing Skarmory closer. So basically running an Aerodactyl and two Aerodactyl counters, and honestly it went pretty well for me. And I would say the one negative thing was the lag, but besides that, I had quite a bit of fun. So let's go ahead and take a look at these battles. And we're hopping into the first game here. Aerodactyl into a Skarmory lead. So you can see a negative lead. I do use Mantine as my safe swap, and they come in with an Altaria. And this is why I love Mantine, is even in its worst matchups, it has a very nice moveset that is able to hit for either neutral or super effective. As you can see, that does a ton of damage to the Altaria. I can tank a Sky Attack, and from here I should be able to bubble down. I do throw a Bubble Beam just to see if I can get a shield. I am able to get a shield, which is fantastic. And they throw, and I'm going to shield this up and then bubble down so I can keep switch advantage. Well, so that I can take switch advantage, so that way my Aerodactyl doesn't have to line up with their Skarmory. Aerodactyl comes in, they bring out their Skarmory, and I bring out my Skarmory. So now the Skarmory is lined up with my Skarmory, which is a lot better of a matchup for me than their Skarmory on my Aerodactyl. That would not work out well for me. So you can see they're building up quite a bit of energy. The Steelwing Skarmory mirror is not the most interesting mirror in the world, I'll be 100% honest. They get to a second Sky Attack here, and this will do a decent chunk of damage, but I am able to tank it. I'm able to get to a Sky Attack of my own. And we do get the shield. And it looks like they're going to be able to Steel Wing down. And I bring in my Aerodactyl. And the nice thing is I have the health advantage, so I'll be able to farm it down and get to the Rock Slide to take out the Skarmory. So we are able to take the game, and as you can see, the Mantine safe swap helped us flip the lead, get switch advantage, and win from there. Hopping into the second game, Aerodactyl into a Mantine lead. So this is a negative lead for us. We are going to be safe swapping into our own Mantine. They counter with a Dragonite. And Mantine is able to hit Dragonite for double super effective with Ice Beam. So we are going to be able to get some shields from the Dragonite. That's just a Dragon Claw, so we can definitely let that go. We're going for our first Ice Beam. They are going to shield. Dragonite is exceedingly frail in this league, so we're definitely going to be shielding. We get to a second Ice Beam, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, this is going to be shielded as well, so they're going to keep switch advantage, but we have a 2-0 shield advantage, which is great. And we'll be able to farm down with the Aerodactyl, we'll be able to shield up the Dragon Claw, and we'll be able to get a nice energy lead. I do want to shield this up just because Aerodactyl is fairly frail in this particular cup. And we're able to farm down. Let's see what comes in. It's the Mantine. We're going to go for a Rock Slide, which does hit for super effective. Now the shields are down. Yep, that does a nice amount of damage, and we are able to farm down, which is fantastic. And it's an Altaria in the back. I do make a bit of a mistake there. I should have switched into Skarmory right away, but I get there eventually, so which works out. They're going to be going for a charge move. We can survive this because we do resist their charge attacks, and we'll be going for the Brave Bird, and this is going to be doing quite a lot of damage to the Altaria, and then it's going to be taking it out. So we are able to take the game. So as you can see, using Mantine as the safe swap and having two Aerodactyl counters is helping me win quite a lot of lost leads. How do I play the Aerodactyl mirror to start? Well, I actually safe swap into Mantine. The reason being is I want to see if I can draw out an electric type if they have one, because my backline is very susceptible to electric types. Both Mantine and Skarmory have losing matchups to electric types, so my goal is, if possible, to draw them out. My opponent, unfortunately, here lags a little bit, so I am able to bubble down the Aerodactyl, and then they come back in with their Mantine. Yep, just perfect. I'm building up a little bit of extra energy, and I do go for the Ice Beam to hopefully land it, and we do land it, which is fantastic. And I'm able to get to a Bubble Beam. Unfortunately, we do CMP tie there. So I just wasn't able to get the move off. Oh, it looks like there was a bit of lag there, so now we suddenly flash to getting to our Bubble Beam, and we're farmed down. As I mentioned to start, the lag during this cup was a lot. So it was definitely not ideal. That was something that they'll have to work on, but I did really enjoy the concept and being able to stream with people. I do hop into the Aerodactyl. I'm going to shield this up just because I do want to get an energy lead on my Aerodactyl. And they're staying in here. I'm able to farm them down. We'll see what's in back. Altaria, which is great. I'll be able to hopefully get the shield here with this Rock Slide. And they're more than likely going to be able to farm down at this point, but I'm able to do quite a bit of damage, which is good. Coming in with the Skarmory, and I do have a shield advantage, so even though they have an energy advantage, I should be able to take this match. I'll just need to get to the Brave Bird, and that's going to do it. They are able to beat me to the charge move. I'm going to shield this up, and then it'll just be a Brave Bird, and that'll be a GG from here. As you can tell, I'm still not very good at hitting all those flying bubbles, even though this loaded. So. And we're hopping into the next game here against Mike J. Carrier, leading Aerodactyl into a Mantine. Again, a lost lead. I save swap into Mantine. Let's see what they've got. Articuno, interesting. I'm going straight for the Ice Beam here. Trying to do some nice and big damage, and that does connect. Unfortunately, it does less than I would hope, but it still does get it into the yellow. So Icy Wind comes through, and that's going to debuff us. Going for another Ice Beam, because may as well see if we can win Switch here, since we have a negative lead. And hey, they give us Switch, we'll take it. Maybe they thought I was baiting, but no. That's something I've noticed about Mantine, is if you don't bait, you can often do pretty well. I'm able to get to an Ice Beam, which is fantastic. This would be doing double super effective if they don't shield it, and they do shield it. But that still works out, because now we're up a shield, and we'll be able to pair this up with our Aerodactyl. I am going to be shielding up the Sky Attack here, just because Aerodactyl, as I mentioned, is very frail. They hop into Mantine, I hop into Skarmory, and this is a lot better of a position for me than having that Mantine locked into my Aerodactyl. So I am feeling pretty good about the match from here. They go for the debuff to start, which is a smart play, as I haven't thrown a charge move yet. And they let the first charge move through. And letting the first charge move through, that does make sense that they would go for the Ice Beam there, because usually you would shield if you're planning to debuff again. Going for a Bubble Beam there, I do decide to let that go, and I'm going for the Sky Attack. I have been debuffed quite a bit, so this isn't going to do much at all. We actually get a shield, so that was not a good play by my opponent. Typically, when you're running a Mon that has a debuffing move, you want to shield the charge move earlier on, because the more you debuff it, the less damage the charge move is going to do. So that was an inefficient shield usage, and I'm able to capitalize and take the game. So GG's to my opponent there. My opponent, singular, was able to take the game. Alright, hopping to the next battle, we catch an Electric up front, Zapdos. This is a great lead for us. They save swap Mantine. We go into our own Mantine. The main reason being is just because Mantine does not want to see Zapdos. So my thinking is, if I go in with my own Mantine, hopefully we will be able to... Alright, go for the Bubble Beam. Unfortunately, that's not shielded. And this is when I learned that you really should not bait in the Mantine mirror. That's not a good idea. And as I was saying was, the Mantine, when you say swap into a Mantine, when they've brought up their Mantine, man, I've said Mantine a lot in this video. Basically, depending on if you execute fast move denial and whatnot, a lot of the time you are able to actually win the mirror. Although this time my opponent makes a mistake and they give up switch, which was not a good call by them, because they would have been able to win switch, and they aggressively switched into their Zapdos, and I was able to switch out into my Aerodactyl, and they have an Aerodactyl in back, but I had a Skarmory, so this is very much over. So my opponent did make a misplay there. Granted, it's a brand new cup, so misplays aren't going to happen, but yeah, that was not the best by any means. So alright, well, we are hopping into the next game here. Aerodactyl into Mantine. So many Mantine leads, but honestly, it's pretty playable because some people do stay in the mirror, which is nice. And now, as you see, I've learned. I'm going straight Ice Beam now. They tank the Ice Beam, and they throw a charge move of their own, more than likely the Ice Beam as well. Yep, they connect with the Ice Beam, and they're staying in, which is perfect. Because if I can just win this mirror, which it looks like I'm winning CMP, all I have to do is just go straight Ice Beam, and then right at the end, go Bubble Beam, and I will comfortably be able to take this matchup with a switch advantage and put my Aerodactyl in a favorable matchup. And they aggressively swap into their own Aerodactyl, so an interesting decision there. And by giving up switch there, I'm able to align that Aerodactyl with my Skarmory. So this is Not a good position for their Aerodactyl. Now Skarmory's loaded on energy for whatever comes in. More than likely that Mantine again. Oh, it's actually an Altaria that comes in. I stand corrected. And here I make a mistake. I try and build up to 2. Yeah, that was not a good decision. Now I have to burn my last shield. I should have just thrown, but I was trying to build up to 2 and be slick with it, so didn't end up working out for me. First Sky Attack does get the shield, and they catch the move on their Mantine. So really nice play by them. I'm going to aggressively swap into my Aerodactyl. Charge move coming through from the Altaria. It's just the Sky Attack, which we resist. And we're able to get them exceedingly low, and Skarmory comes in, and we're able to finish them off with 1 HP left. So an incredibly close game, but we are able to take the win. Hopping into the next game against Jersey Tooth. So actually a pretty successful battler. He streams on Twitch. Aerodactyl Mirror, I safe swap into Mantine. I draw out the Electric. It's a Zapdos. I'm going for the Ice Beam. I lose CNP. And what's happening? Nothing's happening. Welcome to Go Battle Night. Unfortunately, I lag out of the game. So Jersey Tooth's a really talented battler, and I wanted to play them, but unfortunately, lag ended up costing me that match. I had to basically concede because I froze and couldn't move. Hop into the next match. We catch an Electric up front, which is great. They swap into Aerodactyl, and this time I go into my Skarmory. I guess a new strategy to counter an Aerodactyl switch in is if I come in with Skarmory, then I don't have to shield, and I can just Steel Wing down, and that way I'll have a bunch of loaded energy for whatever comes in. It's more than likely going to be that Emolga again, and I'm only going to get 1 charge move off, so I'm just going to go for a Brave Bird. Oh, it's actually a Skarmory of their own. But the good news is we'll be able to align everything just the way we want it. We'll have the Mantine lined up with the Skarmory, and we'll have the Aerodactyl on the Emolga. So long as we can keep shields around for Aerodactyl, just because Emolga is incredibly spammy, we should be okay. We go for the debuff, and we're going to be shielding up this charge move. It's just the Sky Attack. We're able to get to a second Bubble Beam, and from here on out, since I shielded the first one, I shouldn't really have to shield much from here, even if they do throw a Brave Bird. And we're able to debuff them for a 3rd time. It's debuff city right now. Population, that's Skarmory. Building up a ton of energy. This will more than likely be a Brave Bird, but since it's triple debuffed, we can safely no-shield that. Yep, Brave Bird does nothing. They quick swap into Emolga, and I counter swap into my Aerodactyl, and I have kept a shield for my Aerodactyl. They try and build up to 2 charge moves to piggyback, but I'm able to get to my Rock Slide first. That's going to take out the Emolga, and then they're going to resign the match. So good game there. That shows that this team, even when winning the lead, does still have quite a bit of play. Hop into the next match. Aerodactyl against Shadow Aerodactyl. And we actually simultaneously safe swap into Mantine. So maybe someone who's running the exact same team as me will have to see. I do get to my Ice Beam first. In the mirror, I like to go just straight Ice Beam, basically. Unfortunately, they are able to get an extra bubble through, which you do not love to see at all. But this time, I'm able to get an extra bubble through. So we should be tied, hopefully, now. And I do attempt to execute Fast Move Denial there. We'll see if that actually did work out, but nah, it did not. So they're going to be able to win switch, which is unfortunate, just because they were able to get that extra bubble through. I come in with my Aerodactyl. We'll see what they have in the back. And they come in with their own Aerodactyl. I'm going to come in with my Skarmory, and they come in with an Altaria. So interesting choice coming in with the Aerodactyl there. But hey, I mean, Skarmory on the Altaria is still a pretty decent matchup for us. It's not perfect, just because that Dragon Breath really, really does add up. But we're still in an okay position for sure. And we're going to be shielding up this charge move, and we're getting real close to a charge move of our own. We're over farming here quite a bit, and we go for the Sky Attack before they're able to counter with the Sky Attack of their own. We do get the shield, and a beautiful sack onto their Aerodactyl. I'm not sure if that was the best play, because that still does a lot of damage to their Aerodactyl. So I don't love that play on their behalf, but they Dragon Pulse me, and then it's a race, and we're able to Steel Wing down with 1 HP. So in hindsight, that ended up being a decent play. They were almost able to win, but Definitely an interesting play. And this is a good lead here with an Altaria lead. In this matchup, so long as I don't throw a charge move, I can just shield once and farm all the way down, because I do have pretty decent PvP IVs on my Aerodactyl. And as you can see, he gets to the red slightly before me, so I know I'm ahead, which is great. And now I just have to wait for him to come in and just hit that rock slide so I can get that move off. He can move the Skarmory, so this is only going to be doing neutral, but it is still going to be doing a nice chunk of damage. As you can see, probably about a 30 to 40%, so not bad at all. I'm weighing my options here, and I'm going to come in with the Mantine. I go straight for the debuff right away, just to make sure that their attacks do a little less, and they swap into their own Mantine, and I come in with my Skarmory. In hindsight, what I may have wanted to do was wait for them to debuff my Mantine and then switch out, but hindsight's 20/20 at this point, so we're going for a Sky Attack that connects, and doesn't do a lot, but you know, it chips away at the Mantine, which is good. They're going to counter with a Bubble Beam of their own. As you can see, more lag there. That is not like lag from the recording software. That was just go battle night. There were so many people playing and the servers really could not handle it. Now we're on even shields. Again, my opponent shielded a move after I had been debuffed twice, so not really efficient shield management there. I'm able to clear my debuff, which is great, and I come in with my own Mantine. They go for an Ice Beam, which actually surprised me. I thought they were going for the bubble there. I overfarm, and I'm going to be throwing an Ice Beam. If we don't get the shield, then this will be taking out their Mantine. It does take them out, which is great. The Skarmory comes in, and we go for the debuff play right away, because I want to make sure that in the secondary matchup that I have a good opportunity, and we're able to go to another Bubble Beam. So they're just trying to build up a ton of energy, but we are able to debuff them twice, and this should bode well. I am actually going to be shielding this up just because I do believe that I'm going to be able to bubble them down. And well, they actually get to another charge move, but now they're on literally 1 HP and they're dry of energy, so I can come in and farm down with my own Skarmory and take the win. So a very, very close game, but we are able to clutch it out. Hop into the next game against Manu and Gary. Of course, we're leading Aerodactyl and Skarmory, so this is a negative lead. We're going to be safe swapping into our Mantine, and we'll see what comes out. And they're actually staying in for the most part, so that is rather surprising. They're going to go for the Bubble Beam to debuff them, and they switch into an Aerodactyl, so an interesting choice. They use the Skarmory to soften up the Mantine, and so that I would throw my energy before they swapped in their Aerodactyl. Unfortunately, I have decent IVs on my Mantine, so I am able to get to a second Bubble Beam. They choose not to shield, and I'm able to take switch, so that worked out very well. Now I can align their Skarmory with my Skarmory, which is a lot better of a situation for me. And they go for a Brave Bird, so they lower their defense. So interesting play there. And I'm going to counter with a Sky Attack of my own. As you can see, more missed bubbles. They switch out into Altaria just to reset their debuff. And I come in with my Aerodactyl. And we are in a pretty good position now. Aerodactyl is now in more of a neutral matchup than a definite losing one. So we should be in a pretty good spot. Going for Rock Slide, and actually let it take them out, which I like that play quite a bit because now they're able to farm down. But as you can see, the damage from Aerodactyl added up to be a lot, to be honest. So now it's quite a bit lower. I'll be able to shield up the Sky Attack right here, and we're able to farm down for the win. So a nice idea by my opponent, but Aerodactyl's neutral damage just ended up being a bit more than that Skarmory could handle. Aerodactyl into Mantine, another losing matchup, but the Mantine safe swap, man, so good in this cup. They come in with an Emolga, but they swap in really late, so I'm able to get to an Ice Beam, and it connects. Oh my goodness, look at the damage. And now I can just safely shield up and farm down, and I'll have taken switch. So that ended up working out really well. Mantine, despite being a water and flying type, ended up being an Emolga counter, so that works out. They bring in a Mantine of their own. I mime like I'm going for the Ice Beam, and I go for the Bubble Beam, and they shield. So my opponent is shielding all the wrong things at the moment, so things are looking great for me. Do go for an Ice Beam, that's fine. And they come in with an Aerodactyl, and I come in with my Skarmory, so they aggressively swapped, and I'm now going to be able to punish them for it. I'm going to shield up the Rock Slide, and then just Steel Wing all the way down. They're going to come in with their Mantine. I believe I'm going for a Brave Bird here. And it connects. That does a ton of damage to them. My defense is lower, but honestly, that's fine. I'm not worried about that. They're going to have to throw here to take me out. Yeah, they can just go for a Bubble Beam. So great. So I have a full health Aerodactyl ready to take them out. Yeah, so that was a summary of some of my battles from the Flying Cub. Despite the lag, I did enjoy it. I had quite a bit of fun just experimenting with the new meta. So yeah, all in all, I do hope that Go Battle Net is something that Niantic does continue, maybe like once per season or something like that. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you're new and you're enjoying the content, definitely hit that subscribe button. It's free and it helps out the channel so much. Again, thank you to everyone so much for watching and supporting the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.